Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Flexies and fellow PPNers around the world. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm your host, Chris Eriks. I'm going to be with you the next 55 minutes or so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a plan, an application for your life, I call it. And it's going to be the 4 R's of forgiveness. Now, with my accent being from New Jersey and New York, people tease me all the time. They say I don't say my R. So trust me, when it comes to forgiveness, I say my R. So we're going to share that message with you today. But a couple of things I do want to speak about. April 13th, I'm going to be at this place right here, which I'm going to show you. Give me 1 second. Hopefully you guys can see this. Give me 1 second here. If not, well, actually, it's not coming up, and I don't know why. But actually, I do know why. Hold on. There's one way to do it. Here we go. I knew I'd get it. April 13th. April 13th, what you want to do is you want to mark it on your calendar right now. $50 or $55.20. Saturday, April 13th from noon to 8 p.m. You are going to witness myself along with Charlie Ward, Ohio Brett, Anna Kate, Chaz Carter, Warren Armour, so many more people, Alex Gonzalez. We are going to be here at this event, the Patriot Festival 2024. So it's going to be one of my very first events after beating cancer, and I'll be talking about my cancer testimony, and I'll have the mushrooms, and I will have my t-shirts as well, as people have been asking for that. So get your tickets, $50 right here, Patriot Festival, and this is where it's at. It's from 12 to 8 p.m. I will be there all day, and I won't leave until I make sure that I talk to every single solitary person. So come out, show me how Baby Trump showed you how to give a hug, and say hello to myself and some other friends. Okay. With that being said, the other thing that I also want to talk about is the mushrooms right here. Right here, this is the one that I take now. I take this one and this one. So it's the Clarity and it's the Enforce. The Clarity and the Enforce. People have been asking me. Thank you for the emails, the text messages. Just got a couple other text messages. I cannot tell you, if I was a deli counter ticket for people that have cancer or serious ailments that have called me all around the world in the last 7 months, it would have already went over the number, and we would have probably went about 4 or 5 rolls of tater tape. It has been the most humbling, the most incredible blessing and experience I have ever imagined in my life. And I get to help these people. I want to shout out really quick 2 people near and dear to my heart. Dave, I love you, Dave. I'm sure you're not getting these messages, but it doesn't matter. I love you, and God hasn't brought you this far to just leave you, Dave. Dave is in intensive care, so if you can say some prayers for him. I thought he was going to be my father-in-law for the longest times. So just keep him in my prayer, keep him in your prayers. And then also Deborah, DB, love you. Continue on taking those mushrooms. She just started taking them. She just had chemo done. So keep her in your prayers. Her spirits are so high right now. Her faith is high, and that's what matters. So I wanted to talk about that. And then a couple of things I'm going to be talking about right here. Flex Sutra 2. I am back on YouTube. I'm back on YouTube. And, you know, I know I'm making leeway. I know I'm making, what's the word? I know I'm making, what's the word I'm looking for? An impact. I went out to dinner last night to Texas Lone Star, and I was there for about 10 minutes, and 3 girls came up to me, and they recognized who I was, and it was pretty powerful. Watched my podcast, so pretty powerful. But right here, Flex Sutra 2, I am on YouTube. I cannot implore you enough to please go there and subscribe. I think we're at 2,000. I want to be at 10,000 soon. No reason why we can't be. And to show them, hey, we're back, man. We're back. We're stronger. And look, there are videos on there, guys, that you've never seen before. Interviews that I downloaded. I learned how to download from somewhere else. So there's interviews you guys have never seen. So you need to go on there. That is a treat. And then Cancel Cancer Journey as well. So please share that. Share this message today if you feel that you've moved, touched, and or inspired by this message today. So I want to go right into it. And, you know, when you look up forgiveness in the dictionary, what is forgiveness? Forgiveness means different things to different people, but in general, it involves an intentional. Intentional means on purpose. When somebody, I always say to people, and especially in a relationship, although the last relationship, she didn't pay attention to it, but as male and female, we're going to hurt one another. It's going to happen. It's just how we're made. It's how we're wired. It cannot be intentional. The only thing that could be intentional is the forgiveness part. It's when your mate, your spouse, your husband, your wife comes up to you, your brother, your sister, whoever, and says, hey, listen, can you please forgive me? This is what I did to you. Or when you tell somebody that has trespassed against you or did something, and please listen to this next sentence. This sentence might be the most incredible sentence you will ever learn. I kid you not. It does not matter if you think, if somebody is telling you, you hurt me, stop right there. They're telling you you hurt them. They're communicating with you like they are supposed to. And they're going to tell you what you did to hurt them. The next step is to shut your mouth, actively listen, take what they're saying to heart. The next step, put yourself in their shoes. That is called empathy. People don't know what empathy is. And up until my last relationship, I thought everybody had empathy. But some people are not cut out for it. My ex-girlfriend, she had empathy maybe with everybody else, but not with me. And even continues to this day, right now, not to. It's okay. And empathy is to walk in their shoes and see how they feel. And the next step, the very, very next step, is you apologize. Well, Chris, I didn't do anything wrong. Or Chris, that's stupid. That's stupid for her to feel like that. It's stupid for him to feel like that. Now, where in there did I tell you you are to judge their hurt? See, my ex, that's what she did. She judged my hurt. She was the judge, jury, and executioner. She told me how I was supposed to feel. She told me when I'm allowed to be upset or when I'm allowed to be angry at her. And at the times that I was angry or upset with her, that didn't fly with her because it was too trivial. It was too small. And like she said, anybody else would just deal with it. Great, let other dudes deal with you. Good luck on that. If you didn't learn anything from me with love and respect. Now, am I perfect? Absolutely not. Do I hurt people? Absolutely. Am I a sinner? Absolutely. But when I hurt someone, like my ex, when she was mouthing off Sunday to me, I said, I'm sorry for everything. I'm absolutely sorry. I've apologized to her so many times. It's unbelievable how many times I've apologized to her. Her, not so many. That's okay. She doesn't have to answer to me. She has to answer to him. And one of the reasons that I wanted to do this in the 4 R's of forgiveness is there's a very special young lady out there. Holla! She'll know who I'm talking about. And I watched her as she was telling her mother how hurt she was through the years. And it hit me. And it took me back to when my dad abused me. When my dad talked down to me. When I was 11 years old, when I said to my dad, I ran in the bathroom and I said, I won't start living my life until you're 10 feet under. Why 10 feet? Because the dogs don't smell you. At 11 years old, I said that to my father. The abuse, the physical abuse I could handle, it was the mental abuse. So that at 17, I slit my wrist and was in a coma for 3 weeks because I didn't want to live anymore. And I was telling this mother, you need to be quiet. You need to let your daughter, she literally on her phone has a list of all the trespasses, all the hurts of her mom. And she said a couple of things. She said, every time I try to forgive you and and to let it go and give you another chance, you mess up again. And I said, well, in the Bible, it says you're to forgive 7 times, 7,000. And she's like, yeah, she goes, but it gets harder and harder. And the hurt on this 13-year-old girl, who, by the way, didn't want to live. I'm sitting there listening to this girl, who, by the way, is so bright, so funny, so beautiful inside and out. A lot of fun to be around. But I could feel her pain because I went through it. And, it wasn't until I was 21 or 22 where my dad, listen, guys, I remember being in Macy's and my dad grinning his teeth at me with such rage. And this is in Macy's, by the way, and being in my face. Now, I said to him, I said, Dad, I'm not that little boy anymore that you're going to bully. You need to step down. And he did it and grinned his teeth. And he had a hat and I smacked the hat right off his head because I wanted to crack him. I walked away. And my mom was calling me on my cell trying to find out where I was. I was trying to hide it from her. That me and my dad got into it. But it wasn't until my dad said to me, "You're a better father than I ever was." And at 80 years old, my dad was my best man at my wedding. When you think about forgiveness, on my dad's deathbed, I couldn't speak. He had thrash on his tongue. And I, little old me, the one that he abused, the one that he said was going to be nothing, the one that he said, I sucked my thumb until I was 13. The little boy that he made fun of, that he just ripped apart. Held his hand, looked in his eyes, and did the salvation prayer with him. The hurt on my father's face, the tears in his eyes. I could feel the forgiveness. My father didn't have to say anything. It was then that I knew my dad was so sorry. And if you would have told me in my 20s and my 30s that I was going to be there at my dad's deathbed doing a salvation prayer for him, I'll tell you, you're crazy. If I could do it, you could do it. But I want to get back to this with this girl and her mom. They're very alike. And I just watched this girl with unbelievable courage. You know, when somebody comes to you and tells you you've hurt them, do you know how much courage that is? You know, like me, when I went to my ex-girlfriend and told her how the way that she would talk to me, just the way she would talk to me. Could you imagine that, guys? Guys, you've been around me. You know how I am. I cannot be talked to harshly. It reminds me of my mother. That's not good. So if I tell you that, you have a choice. You can either talk to me with love and respect, or you're not going to be with me. And she chose not to be with me. And even after I left, she could have chose respect again, chose pride. And we'll get into that because the reason that people don't forgive is because of pride. So then you don't have one, you have two things going against you. Okay? All right. So it involves an intentional decision to let go of resentment and anger. That girl had resentment. She had anger. She acts out. Her mom couldn't understand why. I knew right away. The act that hurt or offended you might always be with you. Listen to that, guys. The act that hurt or offended you might always be with you. When people hurt you, it sticks with you. You even if you forgive them, it still sticks with you. Depending on how bad it is, or if they don't apologize, or like, I mean, the hurt that I have for my ex is so insurmountable. It is a hurt like no other, because I told her, and even recently when I said, all you have to do, you don't have to change, you just have to change the way that you talk to me. You just don't talk to me harshly. That's not a big thing, guys. That's something people choose to do or choose not to do. She chose not to because she didn't want to be with me. That's simple. But working on forgiveness can lessen that axe grip on you. In the Bible, for if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. Ephesians 4:31-32. Paul tells us in Ephesians that we must, what? Not we can, we must forgive one another and let go of rage. My ex has rage. She does. So before I met her, she had rage. Her son told me, her family told me. But what she did is she bottled it up, and she has rage still. She uses it as passive aggressive. So passive aggression is quiet rage. It is so bad because with rage, when somebody's yelling at you. I'd rather you yell at me and scream at me and get it out and be done. Passive aggressive is a sneaky way, and it belittles people and it tears them down. And over time, it's emotionally abusive. It's what it is. It's no different than rage. Now, in the Bible, you are allowed to be in anger. People don't know how to be angry. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed that. However, you're not allowed to act out in anger. Colossians 3:12-13. As the Lord has forgiven you, so you must also forgive. Forgiveness is about goodness, about extending mercy. Mercy, there's that word, guys, to those who have harmed us, even if they don't deserve it. Look, people don't deserve forgiveness sometimes. It's not up to you. You're not the judge. You're not the jury. You're not the executioner. It's not up to you to decide whether these people deserve it. Well, Chris, they hurt me really bad, and this is what they did. I don't care. You know why? Because there was a man called, what was his name? Oh, Jesus Christ. That's right. And he got persecuted, beaten, hung on a cross, and died for you so you could sin freely. Yeah. What? Chris, what are you talking about? You're right. We sin, I sin, you sin, we all sin. It was like Dr. Pepper, right? I sin, you sin, we all sin. We're all sinners. Jesus Christ took that wrath for us. He took one, when you say take one for the team? Yeah, he took one for the team. He took one for humanity. Do you know he didn't even know you? Try to find somebody out there right now in your life that would take the rap for you. Go ahead. Go ahead. For every sin that you ever create from now until you die, find somebody that says, you know what? I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll take that bullet. Nobody will. But he did. So because he gave mercy and granted that to you, you are to pass that along to other people. All right. Forgiveness actually embodies three different things, each of which applies to different situation and provides different results. Excuse me. The three types of forgiveness are exoneration. That means they're exonerated. The tablet, the table, the plate is wiped clean. Forbearance and release. You let it go. Ephesians 4:31-32. Paul tells us, Ephesians, that we must forgive one another and let go of rage, anger, and slander, among other emotions and acts. And my girlfriend, who said that she's doing it God's way and she's being a Christian woman and she's learning this, how did you miss Ephesians 4:31-32, Kate? You need to read that. We must forgive one another and let go of rage, anger, and slander. You need to get rid of all three of them. People might harm us, but the message of forgiveness in the Bible calls us to respond in powerful and transformational ways. What are the 4 R's of forgiveness? 1, responsibility. 2, remorse. 3, restoration. And then 4, renewal. Responsibility. Accept what has happened and show yourself compassion. Remorse. Use guilt and remorse as a gateway to positive behavior change. Restoration. Make amends with whomever you're forgiving, even if it's yourself. You know, most people can't forgive others because they can't forgive themselves. True. Renewal. Learn from the experience and grow as a person. All right. So I didn't know where I was going to go with all this, but we're going to dive right in. Restoration. Let's take the first R. If we let the pain echo through us, it will overtake our lives. Instead, God offers us restoration. It's through our surrender and by His healing, the power that God is able to put us back together better than we ever were. Too often we believe lies about ourselves as a result of the hurtful things said and done to us. You know, I want to bring this up because I think this is so important. The way a person gets broken down is when they're verbally being abusive to somebody. And verbally abusive, by the way, guys, is not telling someone you regret moving somewhere. Like I said, I regret ever leaving Pittsburgh because now I'm here in Dallas on an island. I don't have anybody, right? I don't have family. I don't have friends. I don't have anyone, right? And she told me that's bashing her. It's not bashing. That's a regret that I have. I'm entitled to have that regret. Once again, controlling what I'm allowed to feel. But what I'm talking about is, I'll give you an example. So let's just say let's go with a child. You know, as a child, I heard, you know what, you're no good. You're gonna end up in nothing, right? Well, the first couple of times I heard it from my dad, I blocked it out. I defended it. I was like, no, no, absolutely not. You don't know what you're talking about. And the more that I heard it, it started wearing on me. And then I said, you know what? Maybe my dad is right about me. Maybe I'm a nothing. And then, you know, when I failed at something, when I was doing bad in school, maybe I was like, well, this is who I am. My dad told me this is who I am. I'm a loser. I'm going to be a nothing. I'm going to grow up. And then the last step is the accepting. Yep, my dad said I'm a loser. My dad said I'm going to grow up to be nothing. Now I believe those lies. They're a part of me now. And now I'm going to live that story out. But when we surrender the lies that come with the hurts, God places them with truth. Do you see how everything is based on truth, guys? Everything. That's why my show is so godly and it came from him, called Flex the Truth. He, meaning God, reshapes our identity based on what he says about us and not based on how we were treated. You always hear me say, you hear me say this in Nashville, see, I know who I am, but more importantly, I know whose I am. I'm his. He restores us back to the masterpiece. That's right. You're a masterpiece. Holly, you're a masterpiece. He created before we were torn down by storms, demolition, and destruction from others. Restoration is where we begin to walk in the truth that we're not what happened to us or what was said about us. We are children of God. Though others may reject us, he never will. We're not victims. We're victors. We're victorious in Christ. It's a shift in mentality and focus to recognize we are overcomers by the blood of Jesus. Restoration is the business that he's in. He raised Lazarus from the dead. He made the lame to walk and the blind to see. It's what he does. He repairs, he heals, and gives life. When we trust him with our pain and trust him with our future, he is faithful to bring hardened hearts back to life. Oof. You know, when I met my ex, she had told me she had a hardened heart and she wasn't with men and for a long time. And it was like 3 years until a man hugged her and stuff. And me hugging her opened her up. And, but then she hardened her heart. She went back to the way she was. She went back to the way she was in the beginning before I met her. And that's who she is now. And she feels safer there, even though she'll never be loved, not the way she wants to be. Because you cannot get love when your heart is hardened and you numb yourself. You can't do that. It makes me think of a house. Think about it. When age and weather have worn it down over time, houses need to be repaired by someone with experience. To restore a house, builders don't just repaint the walls and install new carpet. When I had my construction company, that's not all we did. They build a new foundation. They've reinforced the structure so it can stand against future wear and tear. I remember there was one house, we had to jack it up, the whole side of the house. That was incredible. And then when we jacked it up and we tore it down, we saw there was mold behind the walls. We had to rip everything down. But just like the house, we need to repair our foundation before any external beautification is made. True restoration means taking the time to go through deep healing with God so we can not only forgive others, but be vulnerable with them again. Restoration means loving those who hurt us out of obedience to Christ and because we want to be more like him. With a well-built home, strong winds can come and it won't be knocked down. In our lives, God's presence is enough to renew our minds, guide us toward peace that surpasses all understanding, and help us love others well, despite the storm blowing around us. As you continue through the healing process, you need to declare your faith in God's power of restoration and ask Him to restore the broken pieces of your life. Ask Him to reveal His truth about who you are, or more importantly, whose you are. And let that, not your pain, reign over you. Finally, ask God to soften your heart so you can fully love the people around you. So I wanted to tie some Bible verses. Okay. 1 Peter 5, we'll read the whole chapter. The elders, therefore, among you I exhort. Now, exhort means to do away with. Okay. Who am a fellow elder and a witness of the sufferings of Christ, who am also a partaker of the glory that shall be revealed. Tend the flock of God which is among you, exercising the oversight, not of constraint, but willingly, according to the will of God, nor yet for filthy lucre, Lucre, but of a ready mind. You know what? I need to find, hold on, I want to find an easier version. Okay, here, but of a ready mind, neither as lording it over the charge allotted to you, but making yourselves ensamples to the flock. And when the chief shepherd shall be manifested, ye shall receive the crown of glory that fadeth not away. Likewise, ye younger be subject unto the elder, ye all of, too many ye's here. Let's try this one. Let's start it again. Think seriously about how you live. Watch carefully for danger. Remember that the devil is your enemy. He wants to hurt you. He walks about like a hungry lion. He is looking for someone to kill and then eat them. But you must be strong to fight against him. Trust God completely. Remember this, believers all over the world are having the same kind of trouble. Yes, you will have trouble like this for a short time, but after that, God will make everything right. He is completely kind and He will always help you because you belong to Christ. God has chosen you to live with Him in heaven forever. You will join Him in that beautiful place, and God will make you well again. He will make you strong in your spirit, and you'll be able to stand strongly. Pretty powerful. Okay, let's read. I want to read this whole chapter. This is Romans 12, how to serve God. My Christian friends, God has been very kind to us. Because of that, I really want you to serve God with your whole life. Offer your bodies to Him like a sacrifice that continues to live. Serve Him with everything that you have, and that will please Him. This is the true way to worship God. Do not become like the people who belong to this world, but let God completely change the way that you think so that you live differently. Then You will understand what God wants you to do. You will know what is good. You will know what pleases God. You will know what is completely right. God has been kind to me so that I can serve him. Because of that, I say this to every one of you. Do not think that you are better than you really are. Oof. Instead, think about yourself carefully. Decide how much God has helped you to trust him. Then, and only then, you will know how to serve him well. Each part of our body works in a different way, but all the parts belong to our one body. In the same way, we are many people, but we all belong to Christ, like one body. We also belong to each other, like the different parts of one body belongs to each other. God has been kind to us. He has given to each of us different gifts so that we can serve him. God helps some people to speak his messages clearly. Those people should trust God to tell them what to say. God helps some people to serve others. They should do that well. God helps some people to be able to teach others. Those people should teach well. If God has helped you to make others strong, then you should do that. If God has helped you to share your things with others, do that seriously. If God has helped you to be a leader, do that carefully. If God has helped you to be kind to others, do that happily. Love people and help them. Really love other people, not like a hypocrite. Hate anything that is bad. You know, I come upon Christians and we have conversations, and they say, well, that commercial they played for the Super Bowl, Jesus and hate, right? First of all, that commercial was horrible. Horrible. It's like The Chosen and all that, Sound of Freedom and all that other crap that you think there's good coming out of it, but it is actually blasphemy. There is hate in the Bible. You are to hate anything and everything, anything and everything that is evil and bad. So there is hate. God wants you to pour it, to just hate it. It says right here, continue to do things that are good. Love each other truly like brothers and sisters. Be really happy to respect other Christians. Do not be lazy, but always work hard. Serve the Lord well because you enjoy it. Be happy because you can trust God to do what he says. Be patient when you have troubles. Always continue to pray. If any of God's people need anything, then help them with what you have. Always be happy to let people stay in your home. Ask God to bless people who cause trouble for you. It's a tough one. Yes, ask him to be kind to them. Do not ask him to do bad things to them. If you are with someone who is happy, you should also be happy. If you are with someone who is sad, you should also be sad. You see, I was with my ex and she was sad. She was clinically depressed, perimenopause, the whole nine. I was sad. I was miserable. And I wanted to turn it around. I tried to talk to her. I tried to communicate and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is how you're making me feel. And instead of her listening and saying, okay, I love you. Let's work this out, forced me to leave her. And then when I left her, she's made me feel nothing but guilt because I said that and because I left her. So she has no guilt in the way that she treated me poorly, but all the guilt is on me that I left her. So I should have stuck it out. I should have stayed with her and felt that. And then even when we separated and we continued, we said, oh, we're going to date. I live close to her. She was worse than ever. And I can talk about her because she doesn't even watch my podcast. How about that, guys? Not even my number one fan. Never was. She never was my number one fan. If you are with someone who is sad, you should also be sad. Always try to agree and to be friends with each other. Do not be proud. I talked about pride. I'm going to be like this. This is my personality. This is who I am. I'm passive aggressive. I'm going to act like this. You need to deal with this. You need to put your big boy pants on. Anybody else will deal with it. That's pride. That is pure pride all the way. Not, well, I love you more than anything. This is what I always wanted in life. I wanted this, and you're hurt because I talked to you like that. Okay, I will do better. I don't want to talk to you like that. Let's work this out. Yeah, none of that was said. If someone has done bad things against you, do not do bad things back to them. Try to live in a good way so that people will respect you. And don't put people around you that just yes you to death. I mean, she's got people all around her. Nobody will tell her you're wrong. She needs an older Christian woman to sit her ass down and say, listen, the way you're acting, the way that you treated him, that is not right. But her girlfriend says she's Christian. She's not Christian. Not whatsoever. She doesn't act Christian. There's nothing about her that is Christian. She yeses her to death. Her family yeses her to death. They say they're Christian, but they're clueless when it comes to Christian and how people act as Christians. They think because they say Bible verses, they go to church, they read the Bible, that they're Christian. That does not make you Christian. I have men around me. Jim Dowd, I want to give you a shout out. Kurt, I got Cameron Lowe. I want to give you a shout out. Kurt, I want to give you a shout out. Ludlow. I even have, a female Christian Ludlow. Want to give you a shout out. Lisa Dow, want to give you a shout out. I have male and female Christians in my circle. Patty Mazer, my mom. I love you, Patty. Joseph Berger, General Joe. But I have people around me that if I'm acting ungodly, if I'm doing something wrong, if I'm treating somebody wrong, they will come to me and say, Chris, you cannot treat them like that. They're not afraid to tell me, Chris, you're stepping out of bounds. And the reason that I have them is so that they do that. Everybody needs to be having a circle of Christian people that will hold them accountable for their actions. My friends, if someone has done bad things to you, do not try to punish them yourselves. Instead, let God be angry and punish them. His wrath is 10 times worse. And that's what is written in the Bible. The Lord God says, when people do something wrong, I, meaning Jesus Christ, I am the one who will punish them. I will pay them back. But the Bible also says this: if your enemy is hungry, feed them. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. If you help your enemy, he will become ashamed. He will be sorry because of what he did to you or she. Do not let evil things win against you. Instead, do good things. Then you will win against the evil things that people do. Wow, it's pretty powerful. Um, so that's restoration. So Wednesday, I have Josh Reed coming on, a very good friend, another Christian man, holds me accountable. Thank you, Josh. I just thought of you now. Holds me accountable. Actually, Josh, I want to talk about you real quick. I'm gonna tell you what type of man Joshua Reed is. So I'm in Oregon, and I hadn't seen Josh. Oh man, months, maybe a year. And Jim Price, good friends with, and Jim and I had a falling out. It was pretty bad, and I felt like he did me wrong, and I gave him a couple of times to confess, and he lied to me. And Jim Price was there at the event, and we were all speaking. And it was my second event. Because the first event was Jerry and Ohio Brett in Boston, where I talked about my cancer. It was the second event I talked about my cancer in Oregon. And Joshua came up, Josh came up, hugged me, said, "Man, you look great." Da 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 da. We were talking, and he said, "Jim's here," and I said, "I know." And I had already thought about making peace with Jim, and I had walked through it before I got there. And Josh asked me to do it, and I did it, and so did Jim. And we rekindled our friendship because we had a great friendship. And we let other people in, and those people aren't even in our lives anymore. And it was a great feeling. And I talked about that at the end at the dinner. I talked about forgiveness and just how to forgive one another. And it was very, very powerful. And I asked people right there at the dinner, if you have somebody here that you have, ill feelings towards, go put your arm around them, tell them you love them and you forgive them. And it was pretty wild. So that is the type of people that I have in my life, guys, because we're not perfect. And we're not always going to do the right thing. And I'm not saying my former ex-girlfriend was going to do the right thing all the time. No. But after we broke up, she needed people in her life to say, wait, first of all, she never dated a Christian man. Never. Her whole life. Her dad was a Christian his whole life. She never dated a Christian man. Problem number one. Problem number two, she didn't know how to respect. She didn't know to respect me. She taught her child not to respect me, who was 18, by the way. And so when you don't respect someone and then you teach your child not to respect someone, it's not good. Not good. And so where I'm going with this is that I told her this. So this isn't something, I'm saying behind her back. I said, you needed people like your girlfriend needed to talk sense into you. Your mom needed to talk sense into you. You have an uncle that's Christian. You have an aunt that's Christian. None of them sat her down and said, the way you talk to Chris, you don't talk to a man like that, especially a Christian man. You can't treat him like that. That is why he left. Not one of them. Now, she might have not told them the whole story, which probably, because that's what she does. She never tells the truth. She just tells bits and pieces, but she never tells the whole story. And that's okay. That's pride. It's because you want to look good, and that's good. You're just not going to be with me. That's all. And, that's how you have to act. That's how you have to feel. It took me, as you guys know, months. This is not something I woke up with and, man, I forgave her. I moved on. I talk about it so that it will help other people, and let my pain be your pleasure. Let my mess be your message. Guys, I'll see you Wednesday. God bless. Remember, flex your mind, flex your muscle, but above all, flex your truth. Once you do that, you're aligned with God. Go out, do His work, His will, His way, using His words. Stay blessed.